In this video, we're going to look at creating new tree assets from scratch. And I say from scratch loosely because I don't really recommend doing that. It's really just easier to take advantage of what's already there for you. So if you right click in the hierarchy window here and go to create 3D object, we have mobile forest vision option here, and you've got entire trees, and then you have all the pieces that you can use as you're designing. So I'm just going to start with trees. Let's go with, let's say, tall bunches. Probably one of my favorite trees. I'm going to save my scene file so we can build lighting, just so we can have something pretty to look at. So let's save this. I'm just going to save it as a test build just for now, and let's generate the lighting. All right, so we got some lighting. Our tree looks better. So one of the things that the power that mobile ForestVision and ForestVision as well offer is that these trees, as you've already seen, that it's highly optimized, and the draw calls, or the way it's designed, these are really not going to be hitting your mobile devices as far as draw calls. Now, obviously, it is going to still consider the vertices and everything is still going to be a factor. So you're going to have to keep that in mind as you're designing these trees. But just real quickly, if I let's go to the collapse selected mesh. So with this guy selected, you can see here the optimize tool here, collapse selected or save new prefab, are the ones that we'll get to in a second. But collapse selected mesh is going to let you see how many vertices your tree actually consists of. So if you have a particular metric that you want to meet, this is one of the cool tools that you can use here. But I'm not going to be doing this right yet. You can see it'll tell you if you're not selected, to select something. But with this tree here, and one of the reasons why I went through the trouble of making these assets as optimized as possible is I noticed in my game, I actually am able to kind of move through the trees some, and I found myself as had like a bridge that went through the trees, and with other tree packages that are kind of already collapsed together, you don't really have the option to move them around. But mobile ForestVision, because everything is made of these prefabs, I can very easily pick on this branch here, duplicate it, move it around, and rotate it. So in my situation, I had a bridge that came through here, and I was able to, let's say it was like this, I'm able to very easily move this branch down, and now my bridge can come right across here. And this was something that can be done on any tree, any of the mobile ForestVision trees. And then I can select on these guys, and I can reposition them as I see fit. Because this guy's been rotated, maybe I want to flatten these out a little bit more so that it looks more like it's grown that way. So everything is completely able to be moved and customized and tweaked to your desire. There's no limits here. We can make another one. Let's say rotate this branch out this way. Now, the switch mesh tool, if we go back to that for a second, switch mesh. So again, I probably should rename it. Switch mesh is going to go through, and it's going to move every model that's selected to its next its next visual option as far as the texture goes. So if I hit switch mesh now, you see we're on one. If I go to 2, this entire tree now uses the second material option, or the second texture option for this material. So now we've got a new texture for the trunk, a new texture for the leaves. If we pick on it again and go to the third version, we now get another option. So like I said, every tree you make, you immediately have 2 additional options that you can play with. So just always keep that in mind. And one thing that is worth noting is, let's say, so like in this one, I've made copies of these branches. And I can see here that, this is the same branch type here, right here. What you can do is if you go to the mesh filter and you click on this guy, so let's just open this up directly. So if you look at the version 3, so remember that's the texture version that we're looking at. So we want to look at the version 3s, but we can look at these other branches. So I can say maybe branch 2 version 3, and you can see how I can very quickly change that mesh. Now obviously I need to adjust the children here of this because I've completely changed the structure of the parent. So let's go to version 1, version 3. So remember, keeping the version matching to what you're using is going to allow you to maintain the same trunk and the same foliage color. So you can see here how we very quickly can switch to different options here. So I like that. Let's say I go ahead and just pick on these guys, and let's just move these into place. All right, so let's just say let's say we're happy with that. It doesn't look so much like a clone, and maybe we don't want to have this guy. Let's move this over here, and maybe this spreads out a little bit more. Whatever, you can completely change and move these guys around as you see fit. This guy's sticking out a little bit more than I'd like, so you can move these around. Same thing with the other copies that we made. But you can see here, you can very easily, by using the trees that Mobile ForestVision starts with, these basic structures, you can create your own versions and then save them. So you'll see if we go to save new prefab, let's just say we like this one. You can see right here, this is the name of what we have selected. I mean, we want to change it, so we can change it to new, well, let's just say new one, whatever. And this is where it's going to go by default right to the prefabs folder. So let's pick on this guy, let's new one, and we'll just let it go there. Save prefab, and there you go. There is your brand new tree that you can now drag and drop in your game. It doesn't have to be collapsed. You can. The only reason why I have this collapse option is so that you can make terrain ready options, because Unity Terrain, Gaia, Vegetation Studio, all those, they need your trees to be optimized, which means it needs to be flattened down. So I'm going to take this guy here, and let's go to the collapse. So collapse mesh shows you without doing anything what it's going to name it. So we see we've got the vertex count. I'm just going to leave the name, and let's go to the Mobile ForestVision optimized path. We can set a new one if we want. I'm going to leave it for optimized for now. You see I've got all the folders, so these are all the core optimized trees that we have for just A1, because as we've seen, it's very easy. So there's the A1 version. So let's say with this guy here, we're going to just push it to the optimized. So we have it selected. I'm going to leave it named as opt new one and just collapse it. So this guy has the structure. This is a prefab. We don't need this anymore. We drag this in, and you see that the collapse version has the entire core mesh that has been created. So it dumps it into this folder of all of your meshes, the structure. So here's the new one we just made. And by doing it, it immediately creates the optimized version that has an LOD that is reading from LOD1. So, it's set up this way that you can just very easily add this to your terrains. Everything's going to look fine. It's going to cull here. You can see at 10%. So again, it's just a very basic optimization out the box for anything that you make. If you want to use them on terrains, or you just want to drag and drop them, of course, as you're designing this and you have your basic prefab that you made, maybe you would want to, let me get rid of this for a second. Let's go back to the prefabs. So as you're making it, that, hitting this one button is going to immediately collapse it down. You could also generate, let's say you wanted to generate very specific LODs. You could come into these guys and maybe, get rid of some of these leaf bunches here, because now you're cutting down on the counts and all that stuff, and you can make those very specific other LODs and create what you want. I liked it like this because in my games, this is how I ended up making them anyway, to where they were just one mesh that had we're still looking at the prefabs, but it's the optimized versions here, that you just had the collapsed version, and let's just say these guys should be, so you see that it looks like it was an error, but it's not. This is how I found my trees to work and look the best in my games. So it's there for you if you want to make other versions, feel free, but this is something that you can take whatever tree that you create and optimize it down, and now this is ready to be used in any of your favorite terrain packages like Gaia and so on. So this wanted to kind of cover that. Save new prefab is obviously going to be the same. Save whatever, and then collapse selected. Before I go, I do want to show, let's go and open up, let's say we open up the spring demo. I found myself, as I was making all these assets here, I found myself, wanting to, you see these guys have, they're named correctly based on, what you're looking at, autumns. So let's say you want to make, you like this, but you want to make, something completely new. Maybe you don't want to go with these autumns. You want to just make something completely fresh. So what you can do here is, I'm going to get rid of the ground covers just so we can have the trees for right now. So out of all of these, you see this is the SM, which is my abbreviation for summer. So if I take all of these summers, and what I want to do is, let's say I've got a whole new idea for, new set of trees that I want to make. First thing that you want to do is unpack the prefab. So I'm just going to go ahead and say unpack completely. And now I'm going to go to my renamer. And let's just say, we want to have something for, let's say we're going to make a tropical rainforest, right? So if we change the whole name, so maybe we want to get rid of, the 5 arms or curved or full tree or jungle, whatever, you can do that here. If you just want to change the prefix, then you can look and see, well, how many of the first characters do you want to move here? So I'm going to leave the underscore. I just want to remove the first 3, so we'll do that. And what I want to add is, let's say we just add tropical to that. And then you see we've got a number of versions here at the end. So let's change the suffix, and let's look at how many we want to remove. So some of these guys, because of just it being this demo that I'm trying to show you here, is not really going to work perfectly, because some of these have the copied numbers at the end, and other ones don't. So I'm actually not going to mess with that, but you can, if you want to just see. Let's say we remove the last 3, which will work for some of them, other ones that won't. And let's say we don't want to add anything, we just want to remove it. So just hit rename, and now all these guys now have tropical, and some of these got the underscore 00 removed. The ones that still have it were the ones that had obviously the number in parentheses added on. But that's what the renamer is. And now from here, you can, just run through. And if you want to save new prefabs, let's say you want to change this is what it could be named. Maybe you don't want to change the name, so it'll leave it there. And now you can go and point, new folder, and mine, or the tropical, since that's kind of what we were doing. And select the folder, and now it's going to go to tropical, save the prefab, and there you go. There's your brand new prefab named correctly. So those are really kind of a big overview of the tools that you have to rapidly create tons and tons of assets with mobile forest vision.